Been speaking to numerous people involved in entertainment and the Irish community over this past number of months. I'm delighted to speak now to a gentleman who's over 30 years in music. He has had astounding success across Ireland, the UK and further afield as well. It all started off with the song Little Nell, and from there on, he has never looked back, having recorded numerous albums, DVDs, and made thousands upon thousands of appearances, and doing an electric live show on stage every single night he performs. I'm delighted to say hello to the one and only Shawn Cuddy. Shawn, how are you?
Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Not bad at all. Not bad. Shawn, you're a busy lad for in excess of 30 years.
Yeah, up to the last 3 or 4 months. No, yes, I have been, thank God. I put my band on the road back in 1989, Jerry, but before that I used to work on my own as a solo artist, and I worked with my sisters as well before that. So all in all, I've been probably working in the business for nearly 40 years, since I was very, very young. I started when I was about maybe 13 or 14 years of age, and my father and mother used to drive us around to the shows and all that sort of thing. So it's a far cry from that. But thankfully, yes, I've been very, very lucky to have been, working for all those years and had a career in the music and made a living out of it. So I'm very pleased to be still knocking about,
Indeed. It's an astounding length of time. I always say to guys like you who are out a long time, it's an astounding length of time to continually perform and continue to if crowds do your performances after all of that time. I mean, a lot of people in music have came and left during that period.
To have, Jerry, in fairness, I can remember, when I kicked off, there was a sort of a resurgence in the late 1980s. A good few new fellas and girls had come on the scene, and they've since sort of retired or not bothered or followed other careers and that, and I sort of stuck to the thing. And Larry, I was lucky in the sense that when I started off in 1989, I had intended from day one that I wanted to extensively work in the UK and in Scotland and in places like that, and work at home as well, and I sort of do other things abroad because I felt, that unless you broadened your horizons and went to other countries, and make yourself a little bit scarcer at home, it would pay off in the long run. And thankfully, the last maybe 7 or 8 years from me have been my bread and butter really has been the UK and Scotland and our trips abroad and bits and pieces like that, so I've been very lucky. And I do my work in Ireland during the summertime and that, but I have found for me anyway, it's been better for me, away from home,
Yes, but I mean, you did for many, many years. You were doing performing in Ireland, every single weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember, when we kicked off first, we'd been working. We were just looking back on diaries there, myself and my manager last year, and we'd have been averaging, 5 nights a week, 4 and 5 nights a week. And when you'd be in Ireland, you'd be working every Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You'd never be off, that sort of way. Now, you'd never be off on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday. That was up until, into the 2000s. And, everything had sort of changed then, you know what I mean? It went, there was a lot of dance halls here in Ireland then. I'm not saying the old dance halls because I wouldn't have remember that era, but there was a lot of lounges and a lot of gigs in Northern Ireland especially, and an awful lot of gigs in Mayo and Cork and Wexford and all those places, Laois, Offaly, Westmeath, Dublin. I mean, you could play Dublin twice a week and it would be no problem at all, It has the landscape in Ireland has changed over the last 6 or 7 years, which you're well aware of yourself, Jerry. And there's not as many venues as there used to be. As the same really in the UK and in Scotland as well. It's a different scene now. So, but we're still kept going, and we still love what we do. And I love getting working. I love working at home because at home it's predominantly all dances, as you know yourself. When I'm away, all the Irish stuff would be all dances, but then any of the stuff that you're doing will say, we'll say, the rural parts of the UK would be a lot of concerts and a sort of cabaret and stuff like that, and country clubs and all that sort of thing,
Yes, indeed.
Whatever we do, we it doesn't matter. When I started off, we play a lot, maybe over around East Anglia as well, and Norfolk and Somerset, and all those places, and they're mostly all concert venues. So it's been really good. I love the old dance. I think that you get a great buzz at a dance. It's just different to a concert.
Yes, it is it's a different vibe, definitely.
Oh, it's a different vibe. You know yourself. I mean, you're DJing yourself before people there, and you have them up dancing on the floor, and you get that sort of an immediate sort of, how is it, a sort of a vibe from people. At a concert, you do get a vibe from people, don't get me wrong, but you're in a very dark hall. You only see maybe the first 2 rows, and it's just a different, quieter setup,
Indeed it is. You've recorded, Shawn, a huge amount of material over the years. Your last album, Those Were the Days, cracking album.
Yeah, it's a good one. In fairness, listen, over the years, from the time my very first album was called On Second Thoughts, and I've recorded, I think, close on, I'd say, 21 or 22 albums, all in all, between DVDs and different singles and all that. But I've always tried, Jerry, over the years, to try and get a nice original song and, something a little bit different. But I do love the old standard country songs, and I love the country and Irish stuff. I love the place name songs, which to me are what I grew up with, and that's what I remember listening to when I was a young lad at home. And, it has a sort of change now over the last couple of years as well. It's become more, fiddle orientated and dance orientated as to place names, because we don't have the emigration now that we used to have. And, it's just, it has all, the music has done a run around, but I still think, that there's nothing like, you'll always have to do a Galway song, you'll always have to do a Mayo song, you'll always have to do something from the north of Ireland. I mean, I've been singing The Pretty Little Girl from Omagh since I started on the road. I've never dropped it out of the programme. I've never dropped the Fields of Athenry. Songs like that. People just keep looking for them. It's just the way it is.
It is the way it is. Yeah, those songs are just, they're just classic standards that have never ever died.
I know. Sure, you'd be in the studio, when you'd be picking songs for an album, you'd say to yourself, "Oh God, that'd be a great one," and I think that would be very popular. And you go out and you release the album, and not one person ever comes up to a dance and will say, "Will you do it?" They'll look for the stuff that you're least expecting, and that's always the way. On my last album there, I recorded a song called oh God, what, I can't even think of the one now. It's an old time waltz I recorded, and it's a real old Pal of My Cradle Days.
Yes,
stuff like that. Now, Pal of My Cradle Days, I was a big fan of Anne Breen's. When I started on the road, and I know Anne really, really well, and I always loved that song, and I said I was going to do it again sometime whenever I get a chance. Walk Tall, all those type of songs. They're just classic standards.
They are indeed. I must say, the album had some, brilliant tracks on it. The song you released as a single, Country Music Itis.
Country Music Itis, yes.
Yeah, which is a good one.
Written by a chap from Northern Ireland. Nice song, very, very nice song. I'm glad you like, because I think from the time I gave you the album, Jerry, I didn't have a chat with you to see what you thought of it, because I think it was in Welling Garden I gave it to you, and I don't think we've seen one another since. Well, of course, and God knows, hopefully we will see one another very, very soon again. But I'm glad you liked the content.
Indeed, it is. No, excellent. I thought it was an excellent album. I thought it had everything in it. Great songs like 18 Yellow Roses, a brilliant version of the Golden Jubilee, another classic.
Yeah. I love that 18 Yellow Roses, a song that we get a lot of requests for as well. I love Those Were the Days. I love the song. I think it's a great song. It goes down really, really well at concerts. It's not really a dance number, but you do stuff and you say, well, listen, if people like it, they like it, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. And you hope for the best, you know. I mean, we had a great success with Story from My Daddy, Can We Go Round Again, Five Little Fingers, you know, little songs like that I can just think of now off the top of my head. But, you know, we'll intend to churn out more now as time goes by as well. We're by no means finished recording. I'd like to maybe get another album out now for maybe next year, and you know, work on things like that, Jerry. You know.
Indeed. Now the song, another song that was very, very interesting, and it's one which I got a huge amount of requests for several years. In fact, actually had a request not too long ago for it. Is your a cappella version of the Rocks of Bawn?
Oh God. I know. The story with that song, Jerry, as I said, I usually do it at concerts, but again, in England, I would be asked to do the Rocks of Bawn, especially in Irish places, because it's something different. When I was a little lad at home, my grandfather taught me that song, and I actually sang it at different talent competitions and things at home. I came second in the All-Ireland Coltis Scoring an Oak competition in Gort in County Galway in 1980, and I won the Leinster and I won the Laois, and I came second then in the All-Ireland. But it's a song that I really love. I think it's a real great Irish traditional song, and you know, when people look for it at a dance, I'd be a bit dubious about the thing, because you know, when you're singing a cappella and you have nothing behind you, just your vocal and just you know, the microphone in front of you, it's not that it's difficult, but you know, if anybody sort of even coughs or even does, we always get silence. You know, in fairness now, we always do, and it's a song that I love doing, and I know lots of people out there really like it, you know.
Yeah, no, I've had several people, Shawn, I can tell you, who've come, said to me about it, that, you know, they were stake of their lives. That is the best version I have ever heard of that song. That is just brilliant, you know, and it's not just a couple of people have said that to me. Numerous people have said it to me. You know,
well, thank you very much. Now, I'm glad of that, because it's something that I love to do myself, and I think that, you know, it's just when you're in the middle of a dance or you're in the middle of a concert and you do something like that. I remember going to hear Mary Duff one night, and she sang The Cliffs of Dooneen a cappella as well, and you would have heard a pin drop. Absolutely brilliant. And Margot then does her version of James Conley. It's her a cappella, and she does an absolutely fantastic job. And I know Daniel does, if I'm not mistaken, it's Bull of Oak. Sometimes he does that a cappella. I think it's something different, and it's part of our heritage. I mean, before we had instruments, or before we had people that could play them, that's the way we did it. That's the way we went out in the little hall in Camross back when I was 6-7 years of age. And that was the way we sang, and that was the way we done it, and people loved it. And, you know, it's nice to do something like that. And I think that, you know, the people, especially immigrants that are living in England and in different countries, when they hear you doing something like that, it probably reminds them of home, of people just getting up and singing a song.
Indeed, absolutely, absolutely brilliant, and I must say, you know, well done on the longevity of it all, and well done to everything you've done. Tell me, what have you been doing, Shawn, since lockdown? Have you caught up on the gardening or the painting, or?
I was going to say to you, there very little, but while I've been no more, I suppose, than anybody else. Gardening. I have quite a big garden here in Donegal, so that keeps me going, and a bit of stuff around the house, and I have 2 Labrador dogs as well, so they keep me busy. I have to say, I'm not going to say going spare, but I can't wait to sort of get back out and get, we'll say, doing a bit of singing again. Now, we did do some charity work, myself and John McHugh and Hugo Duncan. We did 2 charity events up here, one in Strabane, for the frontline workers, and we gathered, I think, something like over £1,000 on the night. Just went around with a bucket and gathered money on this, and because in a housing estate we did it. We did the same thing in Lifford then, a couple of weeks later, and we gave all the proceeds to Pieta House in Donegal, which was a great success as well. And you know, it gave me something to do, and it was nice to sort of get out with Hugo and John and myself, and have a bit of crack. As I say, we won't be probably getting back until it's safe to do so and all that sort of thing. And, every day we're sort of waiting for the governments to say, well, we can do something. But at the minute, it's a very, very grey area, so we just have to keep tipping away. I did get, I have a neighbour up the road here. He's got a furniture business, and I got a couple of days there helping him out on a van and doing a few bits and pieces like that. It's not about money or anything like that, but it's good to get out and, meet people and a sort of, to get out onto the social end of the thing, because you can end up, and you find it, especially in the lockdown here when we never got outside the door, you find yourself getting into a situation where you wouldn't go out, only in to do a bit of shopping and that. And I went down to my mother and father when the lockdown was over. My father was quite ill for a while, and I got down a couple of times to see him and my mother as well, and all the rest of the family. But all in all, Jerry, just trying to sort of just keep myself busy any way that I can,
Indeed, well done, and hopefully that your father is in a little better health now.
He is, in fairness, he has well improved now. We were very, very worried about him, and but thankfully he's made a fantastic recovery. And the doctors and the nurses and that had come out to look after him at the house. He didn't go into hospital. He wouldn't go to hospital anyway. My father, he's very stubborn like that, and he felt that if he went into hospital, he wouldn't come out. So there was they put a package in place and that, they looked after him, and our family doctor for the last 40 years at home in Laois was brilliant and came out and looked after him and that. And thankfully, he's made a great recovery, and he's doing very, very well.
Great stuff. Lovely to get a good positive story like that. Shawn, listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you. It really has, and same as you, I can't wait till we meet up when it's safe to do so and be out and about again. And listen to yourself and your wife and family, and indeed your parents. Wish you well and stay safe and stay well.
Well, Jerry, listen, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me tonight. And also I want to say hello to all the people that listen to your radio show. I know you're very, very popular, and we always have a good old crack there, and yourself and the missus always stay on to the end of the shows at Welling Garden City and all those venues, and to everybody that knows me in the area and all the different people, that we work with and all that, we look forward to going back and working with them again, hopefully in the not too distant future, and we'll do it all again, and look forward to seeing everybody.